Anyway, big boy, don't you knock it over.
You're losing money because they're not putting on as much weight because they've got more time digesting the fibrous material. Because I've got a steel star picket here, I can't actually lock it on like I can my timeless. That's going to short out on the post. Why I'm grazing it so hard now is to get it at 50%, so when the rain does come and it shoots off, it's all not going to come back to seed. It takes twice as long for the rumen to break down fibrous material as it does fresh green leaf matter. And the only downfall is they will tend to have a tendency to overgrade, so I'm getting a lot more armour trampled down now and grazing it probably that extra 10% that I generally would. The only downfall about having 2 animals and not 6 is they have a tendency to selectively graze. This stubble that they've left, that's probably 50% height. I like to keep it around that 60%, that 1/3. They're going to love this bit of pasture they're going into now. I can see a lot of clover here, and that's the first thing they're going in to smash. Yeah, Graham's going to talk now, okay? G'day folks, Jason here from the Udderfarm. I've actually got my granddaughter with me today. We're going down to have a look what the 2 bulls have done overnight, and I'm going to show you the pasture they're going into. You're going to say hi, say hello, say hi to everyone. So this is the area they've come out of, and this is where they're grazing now. As you can see, the stuff over the back is probably as high, or if not higher, than that polybraid. So that'd be higher than 42 inches. I've got that set up, so that's around that 50-inch mark. And what they've got left, the stubble, most of it's gone, is around that foot mark. So that's around that 12 inches high. You have got the sporadic ones up in the air, which is still seeded. So the armour they've left, or the solar panel they left, is around that 50% height. I normally don't like to graze it below that 60%, but because we're almost in the middle of winter, and we're going to come into spring in a few months' time, because we've only got 2 head in here, they mightn't get back round before the spring flush or before the rains come in spring. Why I'm grazing it so hard now is to get it at 50%, so when the rain does come and it shoots off, it's all not going to come back to seed. So I'm getting a lot more armour trampled down now and grazing it probably that extra 10% that I generally would. And this stuff here they're not eating has already come to seed. Predominantly half, or if not 3/4 of this had already come to seed. They're not going to eat. The reason why they're not eating this stuff though is this is very woody. That would have to be at least 1/4 inch thick, that stem, and that's very woody. And as we know, the more fibrous the material, especially after it's come to seed, so it's depleting in energy, the more fibrous, the less energy, the higher or the longer, I should say, it takes for the rumen to break down, because it's got less energy in it, less moisture, less sugar. The rumens, it takes twice as long for the rumen to break down fibrous material as it does fresh green leaf matter. Therefore, if that's the case, because it takes longer to break down, they are consuming less because the rumen has to break it down, which means you're losing money because they're not putting on as much weight because they've got more time digesting the fibrous material as if you had high energy food. The rumen takes half the time to break down, which means they empty out a lot faster and they got to eat more. So if they're eating more high energy, it's going straight to the muscle, and less work the rumen has to do to break it down.
Hello, Carl.
Why, hello, Isla.
I always get the question, if you keep it in a vegetative state all year round, when do you get the benefits of the seed dropping into the ground? It doesn't matter how hard you try to keep your pasture in a vegetative state, numerous times during the year it will get away with you like it has done now. And that's why we get seed heads stick up in the paddock. And that's the opportunity now to get the seed drops. I reckon, like I said, most of this next to me, I'll show you in a minute, probably 60% has already come to seed. There's probably only 10 or 15% seed heads left in here. That 15% will drop on the ground, and that's my opportunity to build my seed bank up. If you waited all year round and let your pasture come to seed before you get the animals in, they're going to go hungry because they know it's higher in fibre. It takes them longer to digest. and they'll selectively graze around it and eat the other material like they have in here. The first thing they go for is the clover because it's easy to digest. A lot of it is water, and the seeded matter will stay standard.
I want to go and see Granddad.
Okie dokie. And this is what I'm talking about. All this here has come to seed, and that would be at least 50% coverage with seed. These boys are put in here yesterday morning, so it's coming up to 16, nearly 18 hours grazing in here. This would generally be an area that I'd graze 4 to 6 head for a 12-hour period. Because I've dropped my animal ratio or animal number down, I'm still getting the animal impact, but it takes 3 times as long because I've got only 1/3 of the animals now that I would normally graze in here. Compared to what they're going into, they've got a fair bit of this laid over. So I'm still getting the same animal impact with 2 animals as I do with 6. I've still got, because I've got the same amount of area, I've just kept them in here 3 times the amount of time as I generally would with 6 animals. The only downfall about having 2 animals and not 6 is I have a tendency to selective graze. Even though these cows have been here 3 times as long, they still walk around the woody pasture. With more animals, there's competition because they don't know when the next mouthful's coming from. Because it's a limited area, they've tended to eat the more non-palatable stuff than they would the palatable. They eat them both because they don't know where the next mouthful is coming from because there's so many, it's competition. A lot of the seeded pasture and woody stuff, I reckon you'd probably get a 30% more reduction with 6 animals than you have with 2. Because with only 2 animals, they still are choosy in what they're eating. And the only downfall is they will tend to have a tendency to overgraze the more palatable here. There's certain areas in here that I can take, and specifically the clover, and just in front of me here, it's probably down that 30%. Because I've had them in so long, they've left the woody stuff and overgrazed the more palatable stuff. But because I know I've got probably 2 or 3 months now before they get back in here, it's going to have more than enough time to recover. And this woody pasture, or the stuff they have selectively grazed, will die off. So as they're getting a mouthful of that fresh green spring flush, they're also getting carbohydrates, or should I say the fibrous material, which is depleted in energy. In a way or not in a way, that is good because that actually bungs them up a bit. Instead of having really wet diarrhea when spring comes, the fibrous and woody material digested in there lessens the effect of the diarrhea. No matter what you do, you're going to get it, but it's not as bad if you had a fresh whole paddock full of green material. It's just going to run out on the ground. This here still should stack up just under that inch high. They're going to love this bit of pasture they're going into now. I can see a lot of clover here, and that's the first thing they're going in to smash. Round 3 times, hang him on the fence. Because I've got a steel star picket here, I can't actually lock it on like I can my timeless, because that's going to short out on the post. So what I normally like to do here is I put a step in there, which locks that into the reel and keeps it off that steel post. In the small paddocks, like this here, because it's not very wide, I like to set up my gate first. That way I sort of keep it in a straight line. In the larger paddocks, obviously we moved out to the Udderfarm, we won't have the privilege of doing that. We're going to set it all off the quad, which means we just drive along off the side of the quad, put your stepping in, put your poly braid straight over top of the stepping and keep moving on. Because we've got the luxury here, we don't need a quad to do it. We just put the step-ins in a straight line and just walk along and do it. Starting to rain now, so it better not be too long. Getting these boys in. Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Good boys. Good boys. Smash. As expected, the first thing they went for is the clover. They've just got that patch in front of the concrete tubs completely demolished already. And the Australian pole over there's another big patch there I noticed when I was setting that poly braid up. He's straight onto that. Righto, did you want to finish the video with me, with Gramps?
No, it's raining.
Yeah, I know. The only thing left to do now is to fill up the water trough. I won't keep you guys any longer because it's starting to rain now. So have a good morning, have a terrific afternoon and an awesome evening, guys, wherever you're watching this from, and we'll catch you later. Say bye, everyone. Say bye, everyone.
Wow.
Righto.